everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Wrestling with the Future. I'm your host, Psychic Media Angelo, joined tonight by my co-host, the man of many hats, and tonight, yet another one. Dan, how are you? Dan the man.
Great. I'm great, Angelo. I'm looking forward to a great show. I know part one was a blast, and part two should be great. Sam's got a lot of good
we got some surprises here in part two.
Uh-oh.
And we're joined by Scala from Ocala, Big Ben. How you doing, Benny?
I'm doing good. That wasn't the horns. That was the I love you sign.
I know, Benny. I know that. I'm Italian. Don't forget. I understand what that means. And Jim Phillips from the GorillaPosition.com. How you doing, Jimmy?
Peace, brothers. How are we doing this evening?
Real well. Well, we got an amazing guest tonight. He was with us before. He's joining us yet again. And as I said in the first episode, I will say it again. In a career spanning more than 3 decades, Sam Houston has paved the path to most certain success. He is nothing short, quite frankly, of a success story by anyone's standards. I'm just going to get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome him back for part 2, the incomparable Sam Houston. Sammy, how you doing, bro?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Thank you again for such a lovely introduction. When you introduced me to that fellow just now, that Scala from Ocala, I was sitting there and kind of like a spark, because we talked about Karen McDaniel the other night and everything.
Yeah.
And I kind of was thinking about some stuff, because I'm going to make it down to Florida and get to see Karen soon, I hope. But anyway, I had another Wahoo story that was just that I just busted up over, and I want to be able to share that with her. And I was wondering if she was listening. I know you guys would enjoy it too, but this would go along the kind of the ribs backstage and stuff. Whenever you're ready to talk about that, or however that if you want me to tell it now, I can, or if you want me to wait, I'll tell it in a minute.
Well, I'm sure we got plenty to talk about.
Everybody always wants to hear ribs.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead, and for the listeners out there that are not familiar with what a rib is a practical joke. And if you're really not trying to, cost somebody a lot of money or this, that, or the other, but, you're trying to get that reaction out of them. So a rib is a practical joke. And one of the best ones I ever heard of was Terry Funk had done something to Harley Race. Harley Race was driving across through to Amarillo, Texas to work that night, going through Sweetwater. Harley Race didn't put Terry's rib over, so now it's his turn to get Terry back. Harley Race, how's a kid? Harley Race stopped at Sweetwater, caught a rattlesnake, sat there and sewed that rattlesnake's mouth shut.
Oh my God!
When Terry pulled up in his Lincoln Town car for the matches that night, I don't know how Harley got in his car, but threw the rattlesnake underneath the front seat, and so Terry's leaving after the match. He's going to have a few beers on his way to the Double Cross Ranch, and he had a way of opening up his sunroof to where he could hold his beer can there, an empty beer can, and let it go, and it would suck right out the top. Anyway, he opened up his sunroof, and when he did, this noise he heard. And he felt something hitting on the back of his leg, so he turned on his interior light, and he looks down, and he sees a snake, striking. Now his mouth is closed, so he wasn't biting. But Terry don't know that. All he sees is a snake biting or hitting the back of his calf, and he drove his town car in the lake.
Oh no!
Oh my God!
That was a little extreme. But what you do, yeah, they're like kings compared to me. But I'm very, very good at what I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, growing up in the dressing rooms and stuff, I knew, like in Mid-South when I first met Mosca, Wahoo would come in and work for Watts, and I knew there was heat there because Mosca used to be a cheap shot artist in the Canadian Football League. He'd hit you with late hits, and his hits were designed to hurt you, you know. So, and Wahoo played in the NFL. Did y'all know Wahoo McDaniels is the only player in the NFL to ever have his first name on his jersey and not his
Actually,
last?
Karen told us when she was on the show.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's actually been on twice with us.
Oh, okay. Well, just like me now.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Wahoo didn't have much respect. Didn't like Mosca. Mosca was a bully. Mosca would only do things to guys that wouldn't do something back.
Yeah.
You know, he picked his spots. I don't usually trash talk nobody, and I'm not really trash talking him. I'm telling the truth. So anyway, I started down in Florida. Matter of fact, my second match was against Mosca Jr. down in Miami. Well, they left and they came to the Carolinas, and I worked Florida for 3 months, and then I came to the Carolinas too. Carolinas were in bad shape when I got up there, you know, and I was kind of filling Dusty in on what was going on because I knew Dusty was working his way up there. And I was starving and everything else, working 2 nights a week. Well, anyway, you know, there was some underneath talent, you know, that was involved in this too. This young kid, his name was Mark Fleming, out of Virginia, and he had a brand. You know, we're all starving. You know, the top guys, they're making money because they're working every night.
Sure.
But the underneath guys, we're only working 1 or 2 nights a week. So it was hard. Mark Fleming had a pair of Jordache jeans, and those were like $60 jeans. And he was sporting them around. Well, Mosca one night took master locks. He made a shim or something and opened up a whole bunch of locks in a high school gym off the lockers and put them on all the belt loops.
Oh my
so
God.
now Mark has to cut. Now he's got to cut all of his belt loops off.
Oh,
you know, on his brand new $60 jeans. So I think like 2 nights later, 3 nights later, Barry Horowitz, Bret Hart was what he wrestled in the Carolinas at that time, but it is right. Barry Horowitz. Barry Horowitz had a great big duffel bag with this big strap on it.
Yeah.
And he come back from the ring one night, and that was locked to the iron pole. I don't know what kind of pole this was or pipe this was, but it was locked to that. So Horowitz has got to cut his shoulder strap. Now the only way to carry that big duffel bag is, you know, is with the little hand straps, and he can't do that. You know, poor guy ruined his bag. So a few nights later, Mosca puts locks. My mom had given me a pair of eelskin boots for Christmas, and he put locks on my pull straps. So I had to wear my wrestling boots home that night, and because I had lace-up wrestling boots at the time. So I had to wear those home about 400 miles in the freezing cold in Virginia. So,
oh, my God.
So I go up to Horowitz and Mark Fleming, and I say, hey, you know, I want to get this guy back. Y'all want in on it? They're like, no, they backed out. They were kind of scared. So well, he wasn't going to do that to me. So anyway, I have a whole incident in Tazewell, Virginia, with a bunch of shaving cream that was, I won't go into the whole thing. But anyway, I got this guy good, you know, with nothing more than shaving cream. But, you know, he ended up with shaving cream in his mouth. He took 3 showers. The whole, yeah.
God.
Yeah, he was beating lockers with a chair. Pez Whatley and Rufus Jones were laughing with Tommy Young and I on the way back, telling me all about it because I was smart. I got out of that dressing room before that man exploded.
That's funny.
So anyway, the next day is Asheville and then Charlotte that night. So I got to work a double shot. Well, Wahoo was in Asheville. I get in the ring. I work my match. I'm getting ready to walk out and jumping out of the ring. Wahoo walked from the back all the way up to the ring and met me right at the barricade. And he said, hey, kid, when you get back to the dressing room, don't put your hat on. He said, Waska, that's SOB, filled it up full of water. I was like, okay, Chief, thanks. So I go in the dressing room, snatch my hat off the table, dump the water out, set it down, start pulling my boots off because I got to jump in the shower, get out of there, and get to Charlotte to work that night.
Sure.
So Wahoo hollers, "Hey kid, is that a beaver fur hat?" And I say, if people don't know, beaver fur is what they make cowboy hats out of. Good quality cowboy hats.
Sure.
So I said, "Yeah." I said, "It is." He goes, "Well, I got a blow dryer." He said, "I can dry that out." And I said, "Okay, cool." Well, I'm jumping in the shower. Wahoo grabs my hat, and the only electrical outlet it seemed to be was right there by Mosca. So Wahoo blows my hat off, and he's blowing the water on Mosca, just wanting him to do something.
Oh my God.
So, well, that night in Charlotte, Mosca throws this fit in front of Crockett and says, "I got 2 weeks left. That kid better not be booked anywhere that I'm at, or I'm done." So I'm an underneath kid. You know what happens to me, huh? I get knocked out of my bookings for 2 weeks. I'm barely surviving as it is.
Sure.
So 2 weeks goes by, and then I get a call on a Saturday morning, and it's Chief. He said, "What are you doing, kid?" And I said, "Sitting at home." He said, "Tonight's Mosca's last night up in Richmond." And I said, "Yeah," and Wahoo was the booker. He goes, I'm in Richmond tonight too." He said, "You want to ride up there with me?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I do." I said, "Let me grab some things and get it together." So I loaded my truck off. I mean, oh gosh, there was a whole lot involved. And I just go into, I got a jack, I had bricks, I had oil, I had paint, I had everything.
Brothers loaded from Bear.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now I'm going to tell you kind of like, well, we get to Richmond. I just got all this stuff. I'm trying to put it together exactly what I'm going to be doing anyway. I got to know part of it. So we pull into Richmond. Now, Richmond at the Coliseum, there was a tunnel, and that's where the wrestlers parked at. After the matches, that tunnel filled up with people, and it was really hard to get out of there. So Wahoo comes in, we park, I stay in the vehicle. Wahoo tells me, he says, "Now you wait, let me find out when he's on." Because he was leaving from Richmond and going to drive to Toronto that night. So Wahoo goes in the dressing room, comes back out, and he said, "Okay, kid," he got his match moved to 3. He was supposed to be, semifinal. He said he's got it moved to the 3rd one so he can beat the crowd. So I start laughing because I know this ain't happening. All right. I don't know if I should tell you what I did and then how he reacted, or just tell you.
Look,
okay.
You brought us this far.
Yeah.
Might as well
Sam,
it off.
Sam, you brought
Well,
us
you guys,
okay.
Okay. I'm sort of a country boy a little bit. So anyway, I do my damage on Mosca's car. Okay. Now, Mosca, everything this man owns or has, is locked in this Cadillac. One of the first things I did was I jacked up the back end and put bricks under each side of the axles. I lowered the car down to where the tires barely touched the ground. I poured motor oil over the tires a little bit in a little spot to where the tires would spin. Then I let the air pressure out to about, 10 pounds of pressure.
Oh my God.
But that's not that's not everything I did. So let's pick up the story here. So I do my damage. And I'm hiding in Wahoo's Bronco. And Mosca comes out. Now, Mosca's a big man like my dad. And big men like that, they can knock their hips out of socket trying to get in the car one leg at a time. And chiropractors will teach them to open the door, back up to the seat, sit down, and spring your legs in. Well, Mosca sat down into 75 pounds of horse manure on the leather seats of the Cadillac.
Oh my
God! The man erupted. It was like a volcano just shooting a lightning bolt out of it. I'm talking, and he had his towel in his hand. So He was swinging and boxing and fighting and kicking in the air and spitting, and I mean foam going everywhere. And he's looking around like a maniac. I'm hiding in that Bronco, dude. I mean, he was going nuts.
Shit.
That's funny.
So he calms down. He's standing there. He's pacing by his car. And he's slowing his breathing down, smoking a cigarette and everything. And he walks over there. He starts cleaning the seat out with that towel. And he's looking around trying to see if anybody's watching. So he gets his seat cleaned out and everything. He throws the towel down on the floorboard and he sits in the car. He cranks the car up and he turns his headlights on. Now his car's parked against the wall, so you would think his headlights would bounce off, the glow would bounce off the wall. Well, nothing happened. So with his engine running, he gets out of his car, walks around to the front, looks down at his headlights, and they've been spray painted black.
Okay.
Good Lord.
So he's going up to Canada, so you know every Canadian's gonna have a little plastic ice scraper. So he gets his ice scraper out, and I kid y'all, man, he was sweating bullets because he's trying to beat the crowd out of there. He's got like about a 12-15 hour trip that night. I mean, he's got a long drive, so he's trying to beat the crowd. Okay, so I mean, he's scraping. So finally, he gets it scraped enough, and he thinks he can get out of there. So he gets back in the vehicle, and he drops it into reverse. And when he does, the tires are spinning with the oil on the pavement and no air pressure on it. So the smoke's coming up, but he's not going nowhere. He gets out, and he looks underneath, and he sees the bricks on both sides. Okay, he had a Cadillac. Guys, I don't know if y'all know too much about Cadillacs, but where's the jack? It's under the spare tire, under everything in the trunk. Everything this man owns is on top of that jack.
Oh my!
This man has to take out every possession he owns and set them around his car. Now, he gets his jack out and he starts jacking stuff out. He gets one side up and down. He's looking around. He's almost about to make it. He starts with the other side. Ding, ding, ding. The matches are over. Here comes about 3,000 people down that tunnel. Everything this man owns is on the pavement. He was swinging that tire iron. He was the raving lunatic. Oh, spit going everywhere. It was great. Finally, he grabs everything he's got. He throws it all in the truck. Yeah, he throws it all in the truck. He throws it all in the trunk, and then he hits the gas, hits it in reverse, and the other side comes off of the bricks. And when it comes off, instead of hitting the ground going, he realizes his tires are flat. So now he's got to sit there.
God.
Yeah. So I saw him 4 years later. He walks in the dressing room in Toronto, and he goes, he looked at me and he went, he goes, "Are we okay, kid?" And I said, "Depends on you, man."
Oh,
but
Jesus.
Wahoo made that possible. So Wahoo comes out after when all this is going on. Wahoo comes out after the main event. He's already and he gets in the Jeep, in the Bronco. I mean, and he said, "Well, kid, did you do it all?" And it's like, "Yeah." And as we started driving off, Chief stopped right by Angelo's car. So Angelo could see me riding with Wahoo. Wahoo was the greatest, y'all. He was the greatest. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go off on that.
That was
I can't wait to.
I love starting off a show that way. That's great.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys were brutal with the ribs, though, bro.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, I was. Oh gosh, I was. I mean, I was kind, I guess. I mean, I really didn't cost you a lot of money, but I made you look like a doofus. I didn't. I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem painting you up or shaving an eyebrow or shaving half your mustache. I didn't. I mean, I didn't go out of my way to do it. You really had to mess with me first.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, James Beard. I don't know if you are familiar with him. He's a referee with the NWA.
Sure, absolutely.
Out of Global and everything. Well, James and I, we've been friends for a long time. Anyway, this story involves him and the Cajun brawler Bubba Monroe, Sputnik Monroe's son, who is y'all by far, if y'all can ever find anything, he was one of the best workers to ever put a pair of wrestling boots on. This guy was great. It was fun to beat up on, too. I love beating up on him. Anyway, one night after the matches at the Sportatorium, we're in this sports club called Lockers. Rod Price, Dick Murdoch, Randy Rhodes, Dusty's nephew, Austin Rhodes. Just all the boys are there, security's there, and it's a pretty big, tight thing, and it was our party every Friday night. So George Armstrong, world famous George Armstrong, comes up to me. He's had a security and goes, "Hey, Sam, we got 10 cases of Budweiser." And they had 2 houses in this neighborhood. And it was George had one house, and then Carla, another girl that worked with security, had a house like 4 doors down. So everybody, all the wrestlers, everybody's there. Well, Bubba had tried to pull a rib on me at the show, and I didn't put it over, and it didn't blow. I mean, it didn't do nothing, but he made an attempt. So now, I have to, give it back to him. Well, anyway, that night I got opened up pretty good. So, anyway, we get to the Lockers afterwards, and there was this one lady there that I used to, we used to just talk every once in a while. I mean, we talked every Friday night because she wasn't a wrestling fan, this, that, or the other, and she couldn't understand everybody, how they treated me. So, anyway, we were talking, and she said, "What's wrong with your head?" I said, "I got opened up." And James Beard was walking by, and she said, "Oh, that's not real blood." And James says, "Really?" And he took his thumb and he thumped my head, and it just was like somebody turning on a water faucet. Oh, I was like, nice shirt and everything. So Kim, the lady that runs the bar, throws me the Band-Aids, and I go in the bathroom and I'm fixing myself up. So I bandage everything up. I come walking out of the bathroom, and James Beard is sitting on the bar stool next to my friend, trying to pick her up. so now I'm like, okay. So George comes up and he says, "Hey, we got this big party over there with 10 cases of Budweiser. Murdoch's there, the whole 9 yards." So we all go over there. I don't know. I just heard that somebody put halcyons. I'm not confessing to anything. I don't remember. I used to drink a lot back then. It could have been me, but I doubt it. But I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Anyway, Bubba ended up with one of those beers, and so did James Beard. So about 20 minutes later, when they start getting that lean and that drool going on, you already know that they're done for. So this was a party unlike all parties. Anyway, they pass out. Murdoch and Randy Rhodes are sitting on the couch laughing and talking old stories and everything. I'm sitting across from them talking. And Austin Rhodes, Dusty's nephew, he's young, just coming up in the business, and he's sitting there listening. Well, we got Bubba Monroe and James Beard passed out. Now, I always go everywhere. I always want to travel. I carry pink fingernail polish because you don't know when somebody's going to fall asleep.
You never fall asleep first.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I had a Sharpie magic marker in the whole 9 yards. So I wrote "stupid" across both their foreheads. I painted their fingernails pink. Gosh, that's really basically all I did. We did rip the mirror out of the bathroom in the party during the night. So that was sitting in the garage. We didn't destroy it. We just took it out. So the next day, 7:30 in the morning, me and Murdoch, Randy Rhodes, we haven't been to sleep yet. We're talking stories, and we're laughing pretty hard. And we make up a little noise. Well, James Beard wakes up. You see him start rocking around. He's laying there on that floor. And he wakes up, he starts, stretching and everything. And he sits up. And me and Murdoch, when he sits up, he's got stupid written across his forehead. So we're laughing, and he looks at me and he goes, "What are y'all laughing at?" So I point over at Bubba Monroe. So James stands up and he goes over there and he straddles Bubba, and he's standing there looking down over him, and he sees stupid written on Bubba's head. So James starts laughing. He goes in the kitchen and makes him a cup of coffee. When he starts laughing, Bubba started shaking around a little bit. So Bubba sits up. He's sitting there, and James is over making coffee, and he goes, "Hey, man, what y'all laughing at?" So when James turned around with the coffee, we point at James. So Bubba's laughing at James, and James is laughing at Bubba. So anyway.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. So I'm riding with James all the way down to Thibodaux, Louisiana. Okay. When we left Mesquite, Texas, we stopped at a convenience store. The staff was just so overjoyed to see this man. They were talking to him, smiling, and everything. He was just thinking he was all that in a bag of chips. So we drive from Mesquite to Shreveport, Bossier City, and we stop at this Merle's restaurant. It was the old stomping grounds, old stopping place back then. We stopped at Merle's, best chicken fried steak. Everybody was so courteous and so kind to James while we were eating. And it was awesome. So we leave Merle's, and he's making everybody's day. I got to tell you, they were laughing, they were crying. So we go to the gas station in Shreveport. We get gas. Then we get to Alexandria. We stop at a Walmart, and James goes into the Walmart. He's got to get some athletic tape. He comes back with the athletic tape, gets in the truck. We're riding down the road, and he looks at his fingernails, and he sees the fingernail polish, and he starts cussing at me, and he's chewing his finger. So I'm telling him, no, it wasn't me. And he looks in the rearview mirror. He had his head in a different position. He looked in the rearview mirror, and he saw something on his head, and he repositioned that mirror, and he saw stupid on his head. Oh, he went nuts. But I started hollering. I said, no. I said, James, I ain't taking this. No. Yeah. I said, Murdoch did it. He said, if I told you anything, he'd kill me. I said, Murdoch did it. I put all the heat on Murdoch. Now, I did come clean a couple of years ago. I did tell James it was
Sam, I'm going to stop your story for just a second, Sam.
Go ahead.
We got a very special guest calling in to say hi to you.
Okay.
Go ahead, mystery guest.
Hello, this is a mystery guest. Sam, are you still wet behind the ears?
I don't know. Oh, hey, darling. I don't know. I was told, huh?
I have to say this. The first time I saw you, you know what I said to Wahoo? I said, even 12 years, is he even 12 years old? You look so young. You were such a baby.
Yeah, baby face. I got the cutest little baby. I was born for this business. How are you, sugar? Oh, it's so great to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you, too. I recognize your voice instantly. But you did. I asked Wahoo, I said, is he even 12?
Now, Sam, I got to tell you, Karen is a very dear friend of mine. I didn't tell you that, but Karen is a very dear friend of mine. She's been on the show with us a couple times, and she's coming back. And I asked her the other night to give us a call. I wanted to surprise you.
Oh, this is great.
I dropped the ball on that one because I had my phone on vibrate and never even looked at it. So, back tonight.
You're bad.
Yeah, you know,
that's okay, babe. Those times were great. And it's like I've told Angelo so many times, we all of us, Wahoo, me, you, the wives, we didn't know what we had then.
No,
we didn't.
All
of us, we didn't know what we had then. We didn't know.
You know.
I didn't. Nobody realized y'all's celebrity. You know, they just didn't realize. And y'all worked so hard, man. I don't imagine people who could even keep up with the schedule that y'all kept up with back then. That's what.
Yeah, it was. But you know, we all believed we were. I mean, we believed in ourselves. We really did believe in ourselves. So we were supermen, and we had to be supermen. We had to be able to go out in the bar afterwards and back up what we said. You know, because everywhere we went.
That's absolutely correct.
You know. But, you know, every one of those guys, just about every one of those guys was a hoss when you think about it.
Yes. I texted Michelle Rhodes today. You know, she and I have been friends since forever and ever. And today is the day that Dusty died.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
Storm, my son, died yesterday. And
wow.
She was calling me, and she was telling me that, Kieran, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm on the way to the hospital. She said, I'm on the way to the hospital. We're taking Dusty to the hospital. They thought he had a while. And then the next morning she called me. She said, Dusty died. And I went, oh, my God. So Storm died on the 10th, Dusty on the 11th. And she said, I don't even have a picture for the obituary. And I said, I do. I don't know how I even functioned and thought of it. But there was one a black and white picture, and it's Dusty and Andre and Wahoo. And they were at some bar in New Orleans, and it's a black and white picture. I said, I'm sending you this picture. Cut it out and use it for your obituary. And she did, because it's a great picture of Dusty. And then Dusty used to come here to Panama City Beach to see his mom that was in a nursing home, and his sister lived here. And he had done some little fundraisers at a bar and a couple things. So oddly enough, on the following Friday, after the 10th and 11th, Storm McDaniel was the front page of the newspaper on Friday, and Dusty was the front page of the newspaper on Saturday. Is that not crazy?
You know, they say, I hate to say it, but they say, you know, it happens in threes, and, you know, it always proves that it does. I don't remember who else went, but 2 weeks after Dusty had passed, I went to, I got permission to go. I don't drink anymore or anything, so I got permission to go. I was on parole. I went to go see David Allen Coe in in Baton Rouge. Now, he invited me to go to the party, to Willie's party the next day, but he put on one heck of a show, and I figured back at that time, we'd known each other for 32 years, and it was just 2 weeks after Dusty had passed.
You can't be that old. Are you that old now?
I'm 56. I'm 56.
I cannot believe.
Well, check this out, Karen.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the third one was Roddy Piper.
Yeah,
in the picture?
No, weeks before, I think.
Piper was 2015. Yeah, he was. Certainly was.
Yeah.
Storm died on June the 10th, Dusty on June the 11th, and then Piper died in August of that year. I don't exactly remember that day, but we were at the Fan Fest in Charlotte at University Hilton when he died. Yeah. And you know what? Greg Valentine looked at me dead ass looked at me and said, I'm going to be next. And I said, no, hell, you're not, Greg. No, you're not.
Yeah.
And he
I saw Greg.
Thank God.
Yeah, I saw Greg.
B. Piper,
yeah.
Valentine. You know, we're all the same age, so.
Well, I tell you, and I say it all the time. I mean, every day's given to us, and I'm going to make the most of what I can. Did you know, Karen, 2 years ago in Florida, I wrestled at UFC College one day in front of 11,500 people. It was on the 420 thing. Well, I was locked up in prison, so I didn't know what all the 420 celebration stuff was.
Yeah, I got you.
So anyway, I got to the show.
What 420 is.
Yeah, I didn't know. I do now. So anyway, I get there, and Chasen Rance it was his show, and there were 11 heavy metal rock bands, and they were going to have 3 matches between every break. So there was like 5 breaks or something, 5 or 6 breaks. No, 6 breaks. I wrestled 6 times that day during every break. I just felt good. I only had 2 cigarettes when I got there, and I was waiting until after my match. But somebody gave me some suckers, and I had about 9 of them suckers, and then a couple of brownies, and then anyway, I went undefeated for the day.
420 was all about, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was the only one. I mean, I blew everybody away. They put me in a singles match. It just tore the place apart. Put me in a handicap match. Boy, blew them guys out of it. It was in a 6-man tag match. And one guy was out just going to say, well, he was, the one fellow was Puerto Rican and he had a hurt ankle. And the other one was kind of flitty. You know, he kind of walked, I don't know, he was more swishy than what I'm used to. So I didn't want him in my corner neither. So before the match started, I grabbed the microphone and made the hurt guy get out of the ring because he's of his injury and sit in a chair there in the corner. And then I made the fruity guy stand right there next to him so none of the other guys would jump on him. He was there to protect him. I'm handling the ring. So then I told all 3 of them guys, get in the ring. And I mean, and we had a blast. I mean, it just exploded the place. So anyway, I come back from my 4th match, and I sit in the dressing room and just getting ready to light my cigarette. I'm lighting my cigarette. Oh, I'm happy and everything. Oh, yeah. So I'm lighting my cigarette, and this guy's sitting over there, and he's kind of like dressed up like a gangster and everything, and this girl was all in spandex and stuff. And all of a sudden, he just prison punched her in the face. I mean, dropped her right in the dressing room. Huffed and went off to the ring. So I stood up, put my hand on this other fella's chest and told him, you got the night off, Jack. And I went to the ring. I turned into an animal like I did in prison. I mauled this man to death inside of 3 minutes. I chased him from the ring through the dressing room where he grabbed his stuff way out in the parking lot. It took me about 15 minutes to walk back. I mean, I chased him out. I heard he hadn't been to a show in 3 years.
It's that protect mode. Y'all all had that protect people mode. I don't know what that was. I mean, Wahoo got in more fights protecting somebody. And I told Angela before, my son, the only time they got in fights was protecting the fat black boy brother from the white boys and protecting the fat black boy brother from the black boy. You know that's I had to go pick him up.
Sam, the last time Karen was here, I related a story to her about you and Wahoo clearing out a bar in Oklahoma City, because someone, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to remember because I really hate to say this. Well, I'm proud of it, but we Wahoo and I probably like cleared out a few.
Well, this one was the boys were there after a show, and somebody come up that was feeling pretty good, feeling pretty brave, and he, of course, stupid enough, he picks on the biggest guy there, Wahoo, and then jumps into the old wrestling is fake bit.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, not with Sam Houston and Wahoo McDaniel in the bar.
No.
No,
You're,
not a good idea. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I
You
heard
know,
that
Sam,
story.
you and I both. Well, I that may have been before me because I don't remember being in Oklahoma City with him, and I don't. Really
well, that would have been for Watts. That would have been
but
for,
I've been there
yeah,
many times in Charlotte and the Mid-Atlantic when he's done everything in his power to keep from.
Oh yeah, he would fight with himself, and then he would explode. Oh, and when he exploded, that's when all hell broke loose, and you get out the way. We left the matches. Yeah, we left the matches in Charleston. That building in Charleston for Henry Marcus was horrible, and Wahoo hated Henry Marcus because Henry Marcus was a bad thief. You know. So anyway, we're leaving the matches, and it was like 120 degrees in that arena when we left. So we stopped and we were going to grab a couple of beers and down them before we hit the road. We're getting our beer to go too, you know. So we walk in this club, and there's three, I guess 3 guys in their basic training or whatever. And Wahoo and I just sat down, and we ordered a couple of beers each, and I mean we're chugging them. And all of a sudden, one of them kids started running his mouth. And I kid you not, before I could do anything, when it started, when that spark, I'm coming up out of the chair. Before I jumped to my feet, before I could even make it around Wahoo, he had leveled all 3 of them.
He was the fastest moving big man I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
It didn't take a second.
So the MPs come and pick the guys up, and they're carting them out of there. And the one stopped in front of us, and he stopped and he apologized to Wahoo, and then he turned around to the MP and said, "We got the wrong damn drill instructor."
I think the takeaway here. I think the takeaway here is that Angelo, you said he and Wahoo got into a bar fight and cleared house. And that wasn't specific enough. Usually, when you say something like, "You remember that bar fight where you cleared the house?"
In his defense, he didn't start them.
No, he didn't. No, he never did. He was always a perfect gentleman, and he treated. Okay, as a performer, as an athlete, the whole 9 yards, he presented himself to the public. And as a respectable, I mean, he was respectable. He dressed for the occasions. You know, he took pride in himself. You know, he was always wearing sports shirts or coach's shirts and slacks and nice boots and the whole 9 yards. He didn't ever show up to the show in cargo shorts and flip flops.
No,
you know,
no.
Back then we were proud.
That was my husband's business. It was his business. He treated it like a business. And when he came home, the next day he was playing golf or he was fishing. He had something besides wrestling. But his business is important to him. I've told Angelo when that guy came on 2020 and exposed the business, he looked at me white as the ghost and said, "My business." He protected our business, y'all's business, and he loved it. And that's the way he made money. I've also told Angelo he had me standing outside. I don't remember if it was Spartanburg or Greenville because he thought the Crockett's were stealing from him. And I'm clicking off numbers to see who's coming in the door. I'm standing out there like he's clicking little numbers off.
But you have to do that.
And he protected it, and he lost more jobs defending the boys for their job.
Let me tell you, when I first started from Crockett, when I was in Florida, this little dude that did the run of concession made 1,000 pictures of me to help me out. So when I got to the Carolinas and I'm sitting there and I'm only working 2 days a week, you know, and I see some of the boys selling pictures. Well, I used to sell all the pictures for the guys in Louisiana for Mid-South. So I went to each one of the bookers. At the time, there were 5 bookers. And then I went to each one of the top guys that had pictures that they were selling. And I asked them if it was okay if I did mine. And they said, yeah, I wasn't making a whole lot of money, but I was making 10 or 20 extra dollars a night.
Right.
And in Greensboro, one night I get to the matches in Greensboro, and Crockett pulls me in the one of the dressing rooms. He looks at me, he says, "Did you sell pictures last night?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "You're fired." And I went nuts off on Crockett. I told Crockett, I said, I couldn't have made it in this territory with what they were paying me or this, that, or the other. And I was surviving and everything. And I walked out of the dressing room and I told Wahoo and I told Tully. And Wahoo and Tully Blanchard went in there and fought for my job and got my job back.
Good.
Wow.
See, they didn't.
See, those are stories you don't hear, Karen. You
No,
don't hear
I'll
those
take
kind of stories.
Well, this is, and I may have told you this in our speaking or whatever, is that back then, if you wanted to work for Crockett Promotions, they sold your pictures.
Right.
You weren't allowed to sell them. But when Wahoo came in, he made the deal. He sold his own pictures.
Yeah.
And when they did arcades and they did them in all different cities on one night, I was shipping photos and stuff by bus back then and had different people in different towns selling our stuff. And I'd be standing there in Greensboro peddling it, But he was the only one that made the deal with Crockett to begin with. I sell my own stuff. He did understand there was a call for it, that people wanted it. And I think I've told you, Angelo, it's not a done deal, but I'll know in the next couple of weeks. A&E is doing some episodes about wrestling memorabilia.
Yeah.
And I spoke with the producer, and I think we're going to meet in Orlando. And she's going to interview with me about making the wrestling robes and all of that. And I'm not going to just talk wrestling robes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Karen, I actually know one of the producers of that show. And it looks like they're going to green light it.
Yes. I've kind of heard that, but I really wasn't going to announce it or anything until she gets that with. But she and I've talked extensively. But I'm going to talk about the fact that at that point in time, these guys weren't allowed to sell their wares. They weren't allowed to sell their pictures. That was part of them getting to work for the promoter. The promoter
Sam, what was the whole idea behind that? Why wouldn't they let you make a couple extra dollars?
Well, they wanted the money. Yeah, they wanted if they were going to sell something of you, they wanted to sell it and then give you like 10%.
Yeah, but is $20 or $30 going to make or break anybody? Really?
It was making or breaking me.
Well,
and here's a millionaire staring in my face because he won't pay me enough. I've got to supplement my own income.
Yeah.
And it's a power thing.
About that, when Karen
Crockett wasn't.
And she told us, she told the audience before that she used to ship Wahoo's photos by bus to Briarwood Drive.
421.
Well,
421 Briarwood. Yes,
sir.
Briar
What
Bend.
actually said is that, Sam, that all the wives picked up the checks on Wednesday at 421 Briarwood.
Oh, that's it. Yes, Karen, I'm sorry. You're right.
We picked up the checks, the boys' checks, because y'all were always out of town. We'd all meet up. The wives would all meet up. That's so weird. We'd all meet up. Pick up the checks. That's so weird. That's so weird.
You didn't traipse off to the Olive Garden now, did you?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I actually sent Michelle today a YouTube video, and Nolan, my son Nolan, he loves wrestling. Anyway, it's our favorite Dusty interview, and Nicola is in it with. And you can see.
Which one is it?
She is doing the best she can to not laugh.
I bet.
You can see it all over her face. But it's my favorite Dusty interview. And he's talking about rolling in the mud with the brothers and blah, blah, blah. It's so funny. But I sent it to Michelle. But as I watched it, I just said, this has got to make you smile today. and it's on YouTube. But you can look at Nicola's face, Sam, and it's all. She must be biting the inside of her cheeks to keep from laughing.
Well, whose page is it on? Whose page is it on?
It's on YouTube, but it's an interview about Dusty, and he's talking about, rolling in the mud with the brothers and standing in the line and lost.
Sam, if you go on YouTube and search Dusty Rhodes Baby Doll promo, it pops up.
Okay, I'll definitely do it.
And if you, oh God, she has got to be. You can look at her and tell it's all she can do to hold it back.
Yeah.
and those are those moments that are priceless.
Yeah. You got to see that because that's great.
I'm going to watch it. I'm definitely going to watch it here in a little while. Oh, God, this is great.
Yeah, that's.
Now, y'all are close friends now, right? Y'all are friends?
Nicola and I, we're friends. Yes. Yeah. I've got the greatest respect for her in the world. I was a horrible alcoholic. Please, I just want everybody to know I was lost to my addiction. But I'm coming back.
Well, Sam,
when I got lost,
Let me tell you, in the interest of full disclosure, Nicola Roberts' baby doll has been here twice before, and she's coming back this month, as a matter of fact. And when we interviewed her, she spoke nothing but good praises of you. So
she's an awesome lady. She really is. And I was an alcoholic. She's done what a wonderful job. I couldn't be more prouder of both my girls. And I know it wasn't me that did it. I was lost them on the road and lost to my addiction. Nicola did that. Thank you so much.
You're a beautiful girl.
Yeah, they kind of look like me. Yeah, they kind of look like they remind me of me and Nicola kind of crossed.
Yeah, it's the best.
Micah, I think so.
Absolutely.
But
anyway, you get off here, you got to look it up because you'll go back to the time when, like those times, and you could just. I couldn't even look at Dusty and listen to it without looking at her. She's got to be biting me inside her.
I'll definitely check it out.
That goes to
Karen,
that goes to what we've
so
talked about
surprising,
before.
Sam, I really appreciate it.
Well, hey, I'm so glad to talk to you, honey, and we'll talk later. And listen, you need to tune in too, because on June 30th, it's going to be me, Barbara Goodish, which is Bridget Brody's wife.
Oh, I love Barbara. Yeah, and I love Barbara.
Yeah, and Carol Snuka. And it's going to be me, Carol Snuka, and Barbara Goodish. The three of us. It's going to be like Wives of Wrestling. So you got to do that show.
Yeah, Sam, we're doing a show.
I will.
Wrestling Wives.
Okay. Hey, just send me the links and everything all the time, and I don't mind posting it or what have you. I enjoy doing the show. And then every time I want to, get something out there because I'm doing quite a lot of different things. I mean, today I was repairing a home for a couple, a young couple, but I was doing it through the church.
Yeah.
Oh, and tomorrow I'm going to go put French doors in the house in Columbia, South Carolina. So, I'm trying to help out and do as much as I can. So I'd like to be able to holler back because the making the tables and everything for Kamala and for Amber,
I saw that on your Facebook.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to raise money. I've got a whole bunch of pieces of wood in Texas. I just lost everything in Texas to a tornado. Those pieces of wood, I've got to make a trip back through there in the next couple of weeks and pick up all that timber. I probably got about 4,000 pounds wood that I can do tables and bars out of. And then I want to put those up for auction for, and all the proceeds go, because all it does is, it's something I can give back with. It's not costing me really a lot of money. It's something I can do that I enjoy. I can, and I can fulfill needs for other people that way. I spent like a lot of time in prison working my way back up, and when you work in prison, you realize you're working for your food, or you're working for free, basically. So that's when I got back to the point of, hey man, when I'm working, I'm going to do something the best I can do no matter what. Some guys will just do enough to get by, and I was guilty of that for a long time. And it wasn't until prison to where I found that thing in myself that says, go one step further. I think I was telling you the story the other night about Paul Ellering telling me that you always go that one step further. Well, I lost that in my alcoholism and my addiction, and when I got hurt and everything, and I did just enough to get by. And I don't want to do just enough to get by.
I love the fact that you can talk to us and admit. So many people can't even admit their fault in their life, And anybody that can admit the fault can come back from that. I truly believe that.
Oh yeah. Well, see, first of all, first of all, I know I have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. All I can do now, because I've been given the keys, He's given me the keys to heaven, He's given me the keys to eternal salvation. I can rise from that, and I can be the best that I can be for, whatever I'm doing. I can give it my full 100%. People have different ways of worshiping and giving praise and giving thanks. There are tribes that dance around a fire, but they're giving it everything they got when they dance around that fire, and they're praising their Creator. And that's what He wants out of us. Sure. He didn't want us to stop and go, oh, well, I'm not like that. I'm going to live.
Absolutely.
Well,
half the battle of owning your issues is that once you own them, you can do what you want with them. Some people keep their problems and some people get rid of them. You own your alcoholism, so now you can throw it away. You don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I don't, but I got to tell you, it's like alcohol. I mean, all the time, I look back now and I go, all the times I was drunk, drinking this, all the times weren't bad times. Some of them were the best times in my life, I mean, come on. I don't know how I got through almost getting eaten by cannibals. Not once, but twice, y'all.
Yeah.
They were carrying me to a big black pot. They're going to have Sam Houston, that other white meat, But when the army personnel got me in the transport, and they told me, he said it's their religion. You're a warrior. You're a fighter. So they see you as this great warrior. So it's their religion. They eat you, and you live through them. Exactly. I was like, what? So the first night coming back from the ring, walking back to the back, I got a worse whooping than what I got when I was in the ring, and I was covered up, and I ran back to the crowd. I get back there, and they said, oh, no, they're paying you honor. They're honoring you. They see you doing that in the ring, so they're going to give it back to you. They're showing you that they love you. I was like, oh, really? So I saved myself after that. I go do 40 minutes in the ring, come out of the ring, and, man, every time a face popped up, one went back down because they were coming to nail me. It wasn't nothing to walk outside and somebody standing there with a spear and a great big machete. I was like, what?
That's
but, I was there. but it was a blessing too, because Lord, I mean, oh gosh, this brings back so many memories, and it was me and Killer Brook and Action Jackson and Charlie Norris. My God, that was a scary time, you know. But it's one of those. Somebody asked me today. He said, if you could change anything in the world, is the next door neighbor here. He's from the islands, the Cayman Islands. Anyway, he says, if I could change anything in my life, what would I change? And I sat there for a few minutes, and I stopped, and I said, I wouldn't change anything. And he said, looked at me, and he said, really? I said, yeah. I said, because it's every step in that journey, every step that I've made in my journey of life have contributed to the person that I am today.
Amen.
And I'm very happy with who I am today. And I couldn't be the person that I am today if I had not gone through all these other things.
Karen, doesn't he sound wonderful?
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Mine started in this business when I was just a baby.
Oh, you were.
You know,
you weren't even 12. Honest to God, you didn't even look like you were 12 years old. You're just tall and skinny.
Yeah, but even though we're talking about that my naivety or whatever, however you say that word and everything, you can't take away from the fact that at 15 years old, I was driving Junkyard Dog down the road in his big Mercedes in Louisiana and everything, and we were putting on some miles. We were driving 3,000 miles a week. But keep me up. We were he would lick cigarettes down and roll them in cocaine, and I'd smoke those. You know, I mean, it was a whole different life. It was a rock star style life.
Oh yeah.
For us, and there were no rules. You know, we made the rules up as we went.
Yeah.
And everybody, I can't think of the word, adorned to them. It didn't matter whether the cop pulled you over, or they all loved y'all. Y'all could get away with anything. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one night, me and Wahoo got pulled over coming back from Fayetteville. I think it was in Rockingham. We got pulled over, and Chief ran a red light, and he had taken his plate out of his mouth, and he had a knife in his teeth, and he was looking at me, and he looked like a pirate. I'm not gonna lie, we were drinking Crown Royal and drinking beer and laughing and having a blast. So he puts the knife down, the cop walks up to the car, and he recognizes Chief. And he said, sorry, sir. He said, but you ran a red light. And Wahoo goes, I didn't see no red light. He said, yes, sir, back there. And he's pointing. And Wahoo said, well, I didn't see that. He said, it was y'all's fault. You got him hung too high. He tried to talk to. We gave the guy a couple autographed pictures and left. And the guy's like, oh, we hung our red lights too high. Couldn't see.
That's funny.
That red light.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you. I owe you one, kid. I really appreciate you so much.
All right.
Hey, Karen, I love you.
Thank you,
yes,
Karen.
ma'am, definitely.
All right,
I love you.
I know. We got to meet up, hug.
Oh, well, we will, because I'll be coming down to Florida soon. I'm going to start working for APA, I think. I'm going to come down there and try to do some things with him. When I was down there a couple years ago, the first show I went and worked, he had 79 people paid. On the fourth show, he had over 500. So I'm going to go, give him a shot. Huh? In Mineola. Mineola.
Where?
Mineola. At the town hall.
Where's Mineola?
I think it's about 40 minutes or so from Orlando.
It's Polk County, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's. I'm in LA, honey. Lower Alabama. It's called Panama.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what I said. I'm from LA. I live in LA.
Well, you never know where. You never know. Yeah, you never know where I show up.
It's about 5 or 6 hours from me. So I'm up in the Panhandle, up in that,
Yeah.
where
I got you.
you know where that. It's a different world up here. I'm lower Alabama. We ain't really Florida. We just call it Florida.
Lower Alabama.
Okay, well, you never know, kid. I pop up at some of the wildest places.
Well, anytime you're near, you let me know. I'll be there, okay?
All right, sugar. I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Karen, thanks
All right.
so much. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You're welcome. Okay, honey. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, she's just awesome, y'all. Thank you.
You are quite welcome. I'll tell you what. She is a very dear friend. I've known her for a long time. And she's done my show twice, and she's coming back again.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
she's my dear friend, and I've known her for a long time, too. So I don't have a show yet, but she's more than welcome to. She dances across my heart every time I talk
Well,
to her.
I'll tell you what I'll do, Sam. After we get off the air tonight, I will send you her number, all right?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You got it.
I won't call her tonight. I'll give her a shout tomorrow
Sure.
or something. But that'd be great.
Yeah, I wanted to surprise you the other night. And she called, and I had my phone. It was on vibrate, and I didn't see it. And I was, damn. I said, I got to make it up to him. So I called Karen yesterday and said, you got to do like a run-in for Sam. I said, because he would just be so thrilled to hear from you and talk about.
She's the greatest.
Yeah, isn't she wonderful?
Yes, she is. I think she was at Flair's party the night I stole Crockett's car.
Actually,
parked it back at the office.
And you know what? She told that story on the air.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She sure did. You know, I got to tell you, we set a record tonight. We've done an hour and 7 minutes without a single question.
Right.
I'm sorry. Did y'all want to ask something?
Yeah, I'm going to start with Jim Phillips. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, go for it, Jim.
All right, brother. So whenever we did our article, this is actually going to lead into another story. But since we're talking about Dusty and we're talking about ribs, do you remember the story that you told me where you guys were fighting at or wrestling at a civic center and there was an orchestra pit and Dusty ran?
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Tell these brothers that story, man, because that's great.
Okay, I had just started wrestling. I'm down in Florida, and we were wrestling in Fort Lauderdale. And Fort Lauderdale, the building was more like a theater instead of a Coliseum type setting. Well, anyway, we're sitting in the dressing room, and Dusty's wrestling Abdullah the Butcher in the main event. And, they're going at it tooth and nail. Finally, Bill Alfonso, the bell's ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. We're all sitting in the dressing room. We're getting ready to go out and party. And Bill Alfonso comes up in the dressing room door, and he's covered in blood. And he goes, and he looks at us, and he just throws his hands up, and he goes, guys, I can't get him apart. He goes, I need help. So, it's a run-in now, and a young guy like me, it's hit the skids as fast as you can and get there. Well, usually the first couple of guys that get to the ring, you don't learn this till you get older, neither. Usually the first couple of guys that get to the ring, you think you're getting ready to jump in there and do some good. You're going flying, Jack. So I jump in the ring and I run over there, and Dusty snatches at me and he goes, I'm saving you, baby. And he shoots me out of the ring. Well, he throws me to the arena part. Well, he throws me to the arena part, to the theater part. So not where the chairs are. There's three sides of the ring that have chairs, and the other side doesn't have chairs. It's got an orchestra pit. That orchestra pit is about, a 12-foot further drop than just what floor level would have been. Oh, and when I hit, I come down on my right knee. That's when I started going with those neoprene knee braces. Those are the best things for your knees, guys. If you ever have any knee trouble or knee issues, get you those neoprene knee braces. Get it just tight enough to where it's snug, but not where it'll cut off circulation.
Yeah.
And it gives you support and everything. That's for 35 years. That's what's helped me. But that was what caused it. But he threw me right out of the ring, right into the orchestra pit. So boom, I land there and I'm laying. Now the matches are over, orders restored. All the guys are back in the dressing rooms and everything. The people are leaving, and I'm still laying in this orchestra pit. Finally, I think it was Mike Davis and Hector Guerrero come looking for me and found me. Carried me back up there. So.
It's such a great story. Thank you, Sam.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, you're welcome, man. But yeah, he goes, baby, I'm saving you, baby.
I love it. Dan the man. Why don't you do our?
Yeah, Dusty was the greatest. Hold on, let me tell you. Dusty called me in the office one day when because the people just, when it happened for me, it just boom. It was like the Carolinas lit on fire for me. So Dusty calls me in the office. He's trying to teach me about business and telling me about business. And he sits me down. And he goes, "Well, Timmy," he goes, "you on a ride, baby, a ride across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt. We sit in lightning and fighting thunder, baby." He said, "No, baby." He goes, "I want you to understand." He said, "In this business," he said, "I'm the booker here." He said, "and you spell booker BOSS." He said, "and this is my book," and he holds up his red book. He said, "and this is my book and my pencil." He said, "Now being the boss," he goes, "I get the pencil." He goes, "Now my book here," he goes, "it takes an awful lot of hard work to get your initials wrote down in my book." He goes, "It don't take fiat, baby, to get your initials erased." He goes, "I got a little bitty pencil and a great big eraser." But that was my big speech, following orders, and I wasn't really good. He told me, he goes, "If I could just harness you," he said, "your essence, everything that is you," because I got that squirrel disease. Man, I'll be going like boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, I'll see something will catch my eye, and I got to handle that too.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's slowing me down or knocking me out of my way or anything. It's just something I feel driven that I've got to do, and it's a feeling that I've got. And that's how I live my life. I try to live my life with my heart, not with my mind.
Absolutely.
Well, that girl down in South Florida.
Speaking of something to do, we got to do a commercial right now. Dan, why don't you hit our commercial?
Say again, you want me to do what?
Do
a commercial.
Our commercial.
Oh, yes. The show here, Wrestling with the Future, we are we are proud to partner with our friends at manscaped.com. As we say on the show lately, life's been nuts, and to be honest, it's sometimes even hard to get out of the sack. But now, as we head back into the field of life with the help of Manscaped men's personal grooming supplies, life is truly a whole new ballgame. For those out there interested, manscaped.com. Try the promo code WrestlingFuture. You'll get 20% off your purchase. Any of the promo deals and packages that Manscaped offers, 20% off, an even better deal for Wrestling with the Future and our friends at manscaped.com for all your man grooming needs.
Thanks.
And Dan, it's balls to the walls.
BTW.
Wrestling with the Future and Manscaped. So go ahead, Dan, ask a question. We got Sam.
So I've got only one for you tonight, since it's about what we've got with time. I asked this of every former wrestler we have on the show.
Long time ago. Sam ain't going nowhere.
Long time ago, Eddie Graham mentioned, he said, quote that stuck with me for a long time. He said, everybody in wrestling has first love and a true love. So I'm curious, having traveled the territories and been in the business for so long, who was your, when he said true love of wrestling, it's the person, your favorite person to work with, he used to say, the guy you'd crawl on hands and knees to the next territory to work with. Did you have a favorite, somebody you absolutely went out of your way to want to be a part, be matched with and work with?
Yes, it was, but it wasn't just one. It was quite a few. Yeah, okay, and for different reasons. The intensity Arn Anderson and I shared in the ring, wow. Oh, God, I mean, I couldn't get enough of working with Arn. Tully Blanchard, I always learned. God, I always learned, for a long time, I didn't like Tully, because of how he treated Nicola, I just didn't like him. But I didn't realize I learned so much from him, and I've thanked him since then. But when I worked with Kurt Hennig, Kurt and I had like awesome matches. Eddie Gilbert was one of those. Black Bart, even though the matches weren't Brad Armstrong pretty, you know what I mean? Ricky Steamboat, even though it was like a club fest with Bart. God, I mean, after you watched me and Bart, you knew you just saw a fight.
You got your money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Barry Darso, Crusher Khrushchev, he come up to me in Vegas at the CACs, and he stopped, and we shook hands and everything, and we were talking, because I've known Barry since before I started wrestling, back when he was Crusher Darso, and he came and worked in Louisiana. He come to me and he said, Sam, he said, I got to tell you, he said, all of the greatest matches in my career were with you.
Nice.
All of the greatest matches in his career were with me.
Wow.
That blew me away. I worked in a town in Minneapolis after the floods in 2016 when it got me back on the road. And I worked with this kid up in Minnesota. And then worked a show with him. And then 2 weeks later, I'd seen this guy popping off on front row. I didn't know who he was. So 2 weeks later, I went to another show there. And while I was there, this guy that had been acting like a clown on front row come over there, and he introduced himself to me. He said, sir, he said, that fella that you wrestled with 2 weeks ago, he said, that was my son. He said, he's been in the wrestling business for 27 years. And he said, I just wanted to tell you, after the matches the other night, my son sat at the kitchen table and cried. He said that was the best match of his career.
That's awesome.
And I feel like really honored when I hear stories like this, because I always go out there and give it my all, and I'm adaptable. I can work with a whole lot of different people and different styles. I loved working with Big Boss Man. Of course, I was, instrumental in his training. I was working against him almost every night in Kansas City as Big Bubba Rogers. So when he did come up to work for Vince as the Big Boss Man, I mean, we had some barn burners. We got stuff that they pulled off of YouTube because the network pulled it down.
Yeah.
So they can only have it on their thing.
Right.
But it's on some of it's on Video Daily Motion or something. But when you go out there and you can produce, Kurt Hennig and I, oh gosh, he was awesome. We gelled so good. Oh, we had a blast.
Sure. I will tell you, I've only seen you wrestle once. It was a WWF show when I was a kid, and you wrestled Barry Horowitz. And it was at that point, you had Barry Horowitz, the jobber to the stars, and you were kind of slowly working your way down the card at that point. And for a match that had, and I mean this is in the most respectful way possible, had absolutely no business being as good as it was. I mean, you came out and you did the dance and you still got the pop and you could still hear the women, and you guys, I'd say maybe about 12, 15 minutes, pretty decent run. And it was, one of the best matches I'd seen at that point in my life. And this was, like I said, you guys had no business really, when you think about where you were building and what was to come later in the show, being as good as you were, and it was over. And it goes to what we were talking about last time you were here with the 150%, that extra gear that you mentioned, just for what today would have been a 2-minute throwaway. You guys went out and poured your heart into the ring, and the crowd knew it, and it was one of the best matches of the night. And I think you were second or third on the card at that point, and it was still just, it was great. And that's a testament that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of your tapes. Anybody gets in the ring, guys, you mentioned Big Boss Man or Ron Bass, Black Bart. These are guys that can have, and again, I mean this as a credit to you. They can have stinkers if they're in the ring with the wrong guy.
Yes,
and
yes,
you bring the best,
and they did.
Hall of Fame caliber matches.
Yeah, they did have some stickers. I think that's why a lot of people look forward to working with me too. Because they knew I was going to go out there. See, I learned something very young, very early in the business. People are worried about their characters and are worried about this, that, or the other. What you need to be worried about is getting over in the ring. Now,
exactly.
What a professional wrestler wants to do is go get his match over. He's in one match. He needs to go get that over. Not get his character over, not get this over, not get the gimmick over. He needs to go out there and get the match over. Okay, if two guys get ready to go out to the ring, and this guy's worried about him getting himself over, and this guy's worried about him getting himself over. Well, they're both going to go out there, and they're going to do their little stuff and everything, get all their little signature moves in and everything else, and people are going to sit there, and nothing's going to get over.
Exactly.
They're going to see they got their stuff in, did their stuff, and 1, 2, 3, it's over. Or DQ, it's over. He pulled his trunks, it's over. Who cares? Get out of the ring, let's see the next acrobat's coming in. But if two guys go out there and show competition and work to get each other over, like if I go out there to work to get Kurt over and Kurt goes out there to get me over, then the match gets over and we both get over.
Sam, I got a question for you.
It's a really simple formula.
Sam, I've got a question for you. I've asked Dan will tell you. I've asked this question of every guest that's been on the show, and I have yet to have the same answer twice. What's the difference between getting over and being over?
Well, okay, if like being over, that's something you would like. I would attribute to the Crusher or the Bruiser or Brody or something. Getting over somebody, going out there and giving it everything they got to make you believe. You already believe in those other guys.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so they're already over. They don't need any help to be over. They just got to show life. And that's one of the things like me. I always showed fire. I always had, out of nowhere, boom. But you got to figure in a real fight, if anytime you got a chance to catch your breath, you got time to throw a shot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when you get in the ring, and when you got in the ring, you got to get in there with that mentality. You can get out there and showboat and show your butt a little bit and this, that, and the other. But if you're not taking care of business ain't going to take care of you.
Yep. Well, speaking of business, I got a question for you, and I'm going to turn it over to Benny Scala from Ocala.
Okay.
When you went to the WWF, they had you do this quirky two-step. Where'd that come from? Whose idea was that? And why was there a need? Why the need all of a sudden to do a two-step?
Well, one of the things I was quite the dancer and everything. And when I left Kansas City territory, I had just started with the ring music, and at the time I was playing Thin Lizzy, a cowboy song.
Yeah.
And then, so when I went to work for Watts, they put that on. Well, it was a long way from the dressing room at Billy Bob's to the ring.
Yeah.
And I was going to that music, and I used to dance like that in the bar anyway after, because I gave it all I had in the ring, and at the bar afterwards I did too, so I'd be in the bars dancing. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be two-stepping. And then finally Watts saw it, I believe, first and wanted me doing that on TV. And then Vince fell in love with it too. So when Crockett come in and bought Watts out and told everybody nobody was gonna lose their job, then he turned around and fired Nicola and I. Had Eddie Gilbert call me in and tell me.
Yeah.
So, but Eddie was a real professional. On my way out and everything like that, they really took care of me. They didn't feed me to the wolves or anything like that. And then the last night I worked for Watts, I think me and Eddie worked in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We were the 5th match on the card. We went out there and we worked 58 minutes.
Wow.
Had the people on their feet just about the whole time. And when we made it back to the dressing room, the Freebirds, Steve Williams, everybody had belts, and oh man, they were whipping the snot out of us because we'd gone out there and we went so long, and we had just like we tore the house down. You know?
Big Ben, you're up, brother.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, Sam, I think you should give JBL Texas two-step lessons because you were way better than him. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I tried when we were. See, he was my tag team partner in Texas for a little while when he was John Hawk.
Yeah.
When he first broke in.
Yep.
They put me and him together against the Rock and Roll Express. And Ricky and Robert used to threaten me. They say, Sam, if you tag that son of a bitch in, we're going to kill you.
Well, you know, it's funny because that was one of the matches that I almost chose to show tonight. Because we are going to show a match of yours tonight. And actually I want Jim and Ben, Big Ben, to do play-by-play on it, Sam, as we watch together. So we're going to do that right now. So let's take a look at this match from WCW Saturday night.
Okay.
Go ahead, you guys.
Let's see when we get up here. We got Stunning Steve Williams coming to the ring with Lady Blossom.
Oh, yeah. Am I wearing a leg brace? Or a neoprene thing on my thigh?
Steve Williams is still making his way into the ring. Oh, there he is. Sam's getting his two-step.
Yeah, you do. You got one on each knee.
No. Do I have one on my thigh, on my right side?
Oh, yeah, you sure do. Yes, you do. Right thigh.
Okay, yeah. I had torn that out working with Scott Hall torn my thigh muscle out and working with Scott Hall in St. Louis. And in those matches I worked with Steve with a torn out thigh. That's the reason I went to Japan so many times. I hopped back it from the Omni on one leg. I'd go out there, and if you'll notice in this match, wherever I land, I'm pulling myself up with the ropes because my thigh was torn. Yeah, and Hiro Matsuda said, "We want you, Japan." I said, "Why?" I said, I couldn't, wasn't that great? He said, "Cause, he said, wuss, you're not a girl." Because guys were flying over there for a 6-week tour, and second night or third night, they're deciding they don't want to put up with it because it's brutal over there, y'all.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can't defend yourself, you don't got you ain't got no business going if you can't defend yourself.
Yeah.
Benny,
tell Sam what we're watching, Benny.
This is at that time Stunning Steve Austin, which he looks so funny with hair. It's hard to believe that that's actually Stone Cold Steve Austin. But
yeah, he's great. But because of him, working with him, that's and I was able to go out there and produce and give it my all because that's what we tried to work together.
Sam, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you because I saw the match against Black Bart for the Mid-Atlantic title, and you did some moves that actually were way ahead of its time. You were the first wrestler that I ever saw do a sling blade. They called it a clothesline. But it was absolutely a sling blade. You bounced off the ropes and you did a textbook sling blade. And I probably didn't see that again for another 20 years. And you also did when he whipped you off the ropes, and you bounced off the ropes and did a bulldog off the ropes, which I had never seen before.
Yeah, I came up with that move when Nelson Roll and I were working out and training with Ken Shamrock back in the 80s. I wanted to add, like I said the other night, I wanted to surprise people with my bulldog the way Jake did with his DDT. I figured a way, because when you bulldog something, you're jumping off a horse. So, and for that movement, I'm coming off the ropes. And I just need to come off and snatch that head and go down and throw that left leg out. That's where all the beauty of it. If you ever watch how I land on my left side, and that's where it's all at. That's where, because you're laying out and you're laying into them. And that's where the beauty is. A lot of other people see me do a bulldog like that. Oh, they won't run over there, grab you by the back of their head, and, you know, fall down on their ass. That's not a bulldog.
Yeah. Sam, I'm looking at your face during this match, and you look like you're in distress. You look like you're hurting.
Oh, probably was. Yeah, I got a torn thigh. You got to think, every step I'm taking I hurt, and I never was a big pill popper. But, you know, if it was for WCW, I wasn't drinking before the matches, but Lord knows I'd be drinking afterwards.
And the other thing I'm impressed by is you got a hell of a working punch.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh. You know, it's all in the follow-through.
Yeah.
You know?
It's probably one of the best working punches I've seen in a really long time. And you don't see that kind of punch anymore.
It very easily can go just that one step further. I've got one of the hardest overhand rights. I crossed many of eyes with that. I nailed Jim Neidhart in Lake Placid, New York. Crossed his eyes and sat him on the bottom turnbuckle. I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill me. But he spun me around where I was throwing a shot. And he walked up to me in the battle royal, and he standing there, and he goes, Sam, don't you ever hit me again. But I crossed his eyes.
Stunning Steve gets the win.
Yeah, but I used to do that to Mike Davis all the time, cross his eyes.
Yeah, you really put Steve over in that match. And you wrestled a serious, fast-paced match for someone with a leg injury. That was in, out of the ring. Yeah,
not really even just.
Well, it's what I said the other night. You know, when Terry Funk had a broken hip. You know, and these people paid money to see me. You know, those people paid money to see me, and they didn't pay to see me hurting and over there and not. They came to see, you know,
sure.
I've got the opportunity to be king of the world right now for you people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got the center stage. All attention is on me. What am I going to do? Am I going to cower down in the corner and not produce, or am I going to stand there and give it my all? You know, what is my dream? Is my dream to be lackadaisical? Is my dream to be second best? No. You know, let's put the reality back into it. We all know that champions aren't real, but a person can be a legend through this stuff. You know, people call me legend all the time, and I'm like, oh, shucks, you know. And I don't know if I'm deserving of that title. You know, but everywhere I go, people are telling me that.
Go ahead, Dan.
You know, to me, I'm a servant. I'm a servant to my father. I'm a servant to my brothers and sisters out there. You know?
No, I think it's impressive. You were talking about the injury, and not just the fast-paced match, to expand on what Jim was saying, but you were shooting off the ropes. You kicked off on him, and you took a bump to the outside, which you landed on your feet. So, I mean, that wasn't even just an easy match. That would have been hard with healthy legs. But I want to expand on that a little bit. When Ange was mentioned with you putting Steve over, obviously you're running WCW. You were definitely there to make a lot of the other guys look good, and you did. I'm curious, what was what match in your shorter run in WCW were you most proud of?
Actually, oh gosh. Actually, it wouldn't be a match. It would be the workout sessions I did at the power plant with Charlie Norris. I mean, we'd get in there for a couple of hours, you know, every day. And we'd get in there and train. Everybody else, they had 5 rings in that place. All the action would stop everywhere else, and all eyes would be on us. Watching us for 2 hours, 2.5. Orndorff can tell you. Blackjack Mulligan was there. Sarge, Buddy Lee Parker, he was there. You know, but all these fellas, you know, but I showed Charlie some good stuff, and then I was able to test myself, and after about 3 months, that's when Charlie came to me and he told me, he said, you need to be back in there. And I told him, I said, my career is over. I said, I've been hurt. I'd been partially paralyzed for almost 9 months.
Yeah.
My career was over. And then the Northridge earthquake hit and I re-injured myself. I was down for 6 months in. I said, my career's over. I've been hurt. And he said, Sam, he said, I'm 3 inches taller than you. I'm 60 pounds heavier than you. We get in the ring. He goes, I'm giving you everything I got, and I can't do a damn thing with you. He said, you need to be back in there. And then I thought, and I said, I'd do it in a tag situation to where if I knew if I got hurt that my partner's coming in there and killing everybody, I'm down with that. And he recommended Jake, and I told him, I said, Jake would throw me to the wolves. And then he told me, he said he would do it. Well, so
Sam,
when he got released from WCW, we got together in Texas and Minnesota and California. We made 5 trips to Japan, New Guinea. We were in Australia. We did quite a bit on the independent for circuits for PWA and everything else.
Sure.
And but life was a big party.
Sam, Dan asked you a couple questions about some of your favorite people to work. Let's go on the opposite end of that. Let's talk about somebody that you flatly refused to work with or didn't do business.
Oh gosh, I mean. The only person ever, I ended up talking to his nephew, and what it was the guy wouldn't work with me. His name was something Hogg in Kansas City. But I've never really turned anybody down except for that they were getting ready to do this reunion show in Dallas for the GWF, and that fella had hepatitis C. Well, I don't want to get in the ring with that.
That's understandable.
So that's the only people that I really haven't worked with. Now, the only person I really didn't want to do business, like you say, was one night with Terry Taylor, but that didn't happen either. So that was cool. But there were guys that were hard to work with, hard to get in the ring and work with. Steve Lombardi was no walk in the park. Neither was Danny Davis. Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
we've heard stories about Lombardi for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I got a lot out of both of them though. So I'm just gonna say it wasn't like looking, being all happy that you're wrestling Kurt Hennig,
Yeah.
Like, hey, Kurt, all right.
A little bit of facts for the fans and audience out there, and I know you probably remember this, Sam, when Danny Davis converted from referee to wrestler. You were the one that ended his undefeated streak.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Never knew that.
Yeah. Oh sure.
Oh wow. I didn't know that. I find out all kinds of stuff way after the fact. Oh.
Scala from Ocala, you're up, brother.
Well, I have I listened to a couple of Sam Shoot interviews, and I have something I wanted to talk to Sam about. I think that almost anybody could relate to. Sam, you were working in the Central States, and I guess Crockett bought the territory, and you had done work with, I think, was it Warlord in Omaha?
Yeah.
And you drew, I think you said $63,000.
$63,000 and got paid $75.
And you went to get your payoff, and it was $75. And I'm thinking, like, any of us that have ever worked for commission can only imagine, like, busting our butts and bringing $63,000 single-handedly, pretty much, to our bosses and getting about a penny and a half back on the dollar. So I just wanted to
and then I get told, well, baby, I said, when are we going back? And they said, y'all's office ain't going back. He said, this looks like a valuable commodity for the main office. So because it had potential. So instead of keeping it for the territory, instead they farmed that out to Crockett because they were starting to go nationwide or trying to. So that was their mid-stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jim Phillips. Go for it, Jim.
Okay, brother. So we were talking earlier about being in the ring with different people and how you worked as pretty much a mechanic in WCW while you were there. Is there any of those young guys, kind of like a Steve Williams that was coming up, that when you got in the ring with them, you just knew that this person was going to be over and it was just a matter of time before the doors opened?
Oh, yeah. Sting was like that. Steiner. But I worked with Sting and Steiner when I was working for, it wasn't WCW, it was UWF for Bill Watts. I was working with them almost every night besides them and Eddie Gilbert. But yeah, I knew Sting had something with him. Steiner had something with him. Gosh, I knew Scott Hall. Scott Hall, when I was working with him in WCW, he was the Diamond Stud. I knew if he could put it together, if he could ever put it all together, he'd make it.
Right.
But, Scott, oh gosh, when Scott was in Minnesota and stuff when Scott and Danny Spivey both started out, I broke them both in. I trained them both. They were supposed to be the American Starship. But, they both had egos and stuff like that, so the tag team didn't go so well. It didn't take long for it to break up, and they were in the Kansas City territory, so Scott Hall went up to Minnesota from there. Dan Spivey went back to Charlotte, and then Dan went to work for Vince and Scott Hall. And, and everybody knows, Scott Hall came back. Then he was the Diamond Stud for Dallas Page and WCW, then Razor Ramon. Then back to WCW as Scott Hall.
Yeah.
But Scott was fun to work with. I mean, I had fun. To me, it was my job, but it was also my fun time. It's I'm getting out here, getting paid to do what I love doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very fortunate, my friend. Very, very fortunate.
Very much so.
And thank God you're still with us and doing well. And I cannot thank you enough for being so generous with your time for 2 nights.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? I think we like you here, and I think we'd like to maybe bring you back.
I'd love it. Guys, and I love talking about all the wrestling stories and stuff like this too. But I want to get more personal with your listeners and everybody that's out there to let you know these things that I'm trying to do to help people. I can't do it all alone, and
Right.
I need some help.
Sure, absolutely.
These fellas that have taken an interest in me here with Big Pop Productions coming up, and then Reverend Walt Smith there in Lumberton. He's got a television station. They're going to let me have a show to where I can help these people. Like I said, during this coronavirus and everything, there's 3 different ladies, disabled ladies that are that have issues and they're on fixed incomes. And I've been working for the church to fix their homes and stuff. Well, let me fix their homes and show the people what I'm doing. And like I said, I'm having to, just scrape, do it and do whatever I can. Maybe we could get some supplies, or some things together to help these people.
Sam, you're in Florida, right? Gosh.
No, I'm in North Carolina currently.
Oh, North Carolina. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'm about 20 miles outside of Charlotte,
Okay.
But the Almighty's given all these opportunities. Yeah, man, I got a long way to go to get to where I need to be. As far as me, I've got a book coming out. I'm on the verge, but I can't stop long enough to complete one of the things that'll help me until I can get some breathing room.
Well, I tell you, the reason I'm asking, how far are you from Jacksonville, Florida? I'm asking for a very specific reason. I'll tell you why.
I don't know. I'm about 8 hours from Orlando.
Okay. We have a guy on our team here. He's a filmmaker. His name's Mike Messier. He's a documentarian.
Yeah, I spoke with him. Yeah, I spoke with him the other night. I want to speak with him.
Yeah, well, I want to send him to you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get something on film and then show it on our channel.
Wow.
Okay.
And help promote. Now, if there's anything that we can do at Wrestling with the Future, my door is open to you. You just let me know.
Okay, I sure will.
All right? And I'm going to get Mike Messier, and I'm going to get you together with Mike. Okay? I want something on film.
You sure got it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, okay, great. Because I want to do. It's a project that I started working with Jamie Morris, a disabled veteran that I helped out, and he started helping me with the social media. We started a project called My Scars Tell a Story, and I want to get that project out there. And I think Mike would be the person to talk to help me bring this project to fruition and completion.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, my friend, I am going to let you go. Okay. I will call you tomorrow, if that's all right.
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. And when we hang up, I want you to check your phone because I sent you a little gift.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, and I'll speak with you tomorrow. All right. Y'all have a blessed evening.
You too. Take care, Sam.
God bless you.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Great night. Thank you, Sam. Bye-bye. That was a great interview.
Very much so.
That was a great interview. I just sent him Karen McDaniel's phone number.
There's so many stories.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you what. You guys know, Benny, Dan, you guys know you're with me every week. That's the longest we've gone without a question.
Yeah, you're probably going to win another hour.
Over
an hour and 12 minutes without
you probably could have went another hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Brother, let me tell you something. We barely, and he didn't even get started telling the story.
Right. And I was going to say, this is an hour and a half yesterday, 2 hours today, and we're at 5% of what it seems like he's wanted to say.
Right. I know, right?
we're going to be on Sam Houston part 34 by the end of the year and still haven't finished everything.
Well, and the reason I told him about Mikey and I hooked him up with Mikey is that I know what he's involved with and I know what he's got going on. I want something on film. I want to definitely, broadcast his testimony and his other projects on the YouTube channel. We are going to have a website. I'll just tell everybody that right now. We will have a website. So look for wrestlingwiththefuture.com and everything will be on the website. So, Jim, what do you think your first time out with us?
It was good, man. Like you say, whenever you're dealing with these guys from the classic wrestling era, you can just kind of like wind them up and let them go, man, and they can talk forever. But
yeah,
he and
Karen spoke for 36 minutes.
Right.
They did. Yeah, Jim came on tonight because he was going to make a couple big announcements. Well, that didn't happen.
It's okay, man. That's okay.
Well, you go ahead. If you want to plug anything, go for it.
You can definitely find me at thegorillaposition.com. And the announcements were I'm expanding out. Last week, I got picked up by Pro Wrestling Stories out of the UK. And
beautiful.
Next week, you'll be able to find me on Pro Wrestling Post out of Canada. So
terrific.
Yeah, we're expanding the brand over here.
Well, put us over, brother. There's a spot on you.
Okay. Hell yeah. I definitely
you put us over. I got plenty of room on board here.
Rock and roll, man. I'm always ready to do something like that. I've got a few other little irons in the fire. Keep this kayfabe just between us.
Yes, sir.
I was approached about a week or so ago about doing an internet radio thing, kind of not an interview segment like you guys do, but more of a historical sit down and talk for an hour, maybe get some friends to call in type thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that in the future. So I may actually hit you up for some advice.
Absolutely. Benny, you're familiar with Pro Wrestling Stories, right?
I actually have a couple of stories published on there.
Excellent.
Okay.
JP's great.
Very good site. If you like old school wrestling stories, there's so many stories on there about just about anybody you want to, Fred Blassie, Bruno, and you name it. There's stories on there about them. And their Facebook page alone, I think, has about 230,000 followers.
Nice. Yeah, we want that.
Amazing response.
Well, we're on there now, so we're.
Yeah, I got an amazing response on that. Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful. Dan, what we got going on, brother?
Oh, we've got a lot of good shows coming up. Dan? What's that?
Who's coming on here? What we got coming
on? We touched on, obviously, Karen spilled the beans on our Wives of Wrestling show coming up. We've got some returning guests that we've had on the show before. We've got Bill Dundee coming back. We've got, obviously, Angelo, you were talking last week when you hyped up some of the potential future guests that we have on. Yeah. And we're going to continue looking. Go ahead.
Got confirmation Lanny Poffo's coming back.
Excellent. Yeah,
Lanny's coming back for part 2.
Those fans that remember that, our conversation with Lanny was very informative. He touched on a lot of, and I give Lanny we talked about before with the fact that nothing was off limits with him, and he was willing to talk about any and everything.
Yeah, so, everything's on the table.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's coming back July 30th with Lanny Poffo. That's going to be a Thursday night show.
Nice. But yeah,
what else we got going on, brother?
Well, I mean,
because I can't keep everything straight. That's why I got you here.
That's why I'm here. Yeah, obviously, Angelo touched on the website that's in the works, and we continue Wrestling with the Future. We continue to expand. We, as Angelo mentioned, our numbers a couple weeks ago, we brought it up on the show back in the second week of May. Wrestling with the Future hit 1 million downloads across our podcast networks, which is a huge, especially considering the average sports entertainment wrestling podcast lasts about 4 episodes. We've been around.
Yeah, that's how we were able to get Manscaped.
Yeah, they put the numbers out. A sponsor, that's a huge growth. Jim was saying, you got to keep expanding the brand, and we're moving inward and outward and upward, and
we're going balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. Yes. And we, as obviously, we're on Facebook, Wrestling with the Future podcast, YouTube channel. You're just watching us now. We're also on Twitter, Wrestling Future, no G, that's Wrestling Future. And I'm on Twitter at @theman_WWTF. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, buy the T-shirt. The link's below. And we are keeping
hit that
good content to you, our fans.
YouTube. You got to make sure they hit that alert button for upcoming shows and and information about upcoming guests. Betty, what do you got going on in Ocala?
I'm actually in Newport Richey, but I like Scala from Ocala.
I like Scala from Ocala.
I used to drive an Impala, so I should have kept that too, I guess. Scala from Ocala with an Impala. I'm just happy to be here. It had to be when did you have Jimmy Valiant first on? Was it 4 or 5 months ago?
We had Jimmy on January 21st, and then we had him last week.
So it was around January. I think I was driving to work, and I was looking for a new podcast, and I saw yours. And I thought, let me give this one a listen, because I've listened. At the time I was driving an hour and a half each way from Newport Richey to Clearwater, and then let me try a new podcast. And I listened to yours, and it was so much different than all the other podcasts I listened to, and I was immediately hooked. It's just a different format. Instead of listening to people talk about wrestlers and their stories, you're getting those stories right from the wrestlers themselves.
Exactly.
How can you beat that?
Well, it's like Bill Dundee said. You're getting it from the horse's mouth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Jim. I want to tell you something, brother. If you've ever had the opportunity to interview Bill Dundee, all you got to do is say, "Hello, Bill." That's it. Sit back, have a cup of coffee, order dinner, and just let him go. Just let him go.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's the greatest, though. Those are the best.
Like Sam Houston is a great guest. You don't have to. You say, "Hi, Sam." Off to the races. But I tell you what, we really, we said it before, Dan, that we barely scratched the surface. I mean, with Sam, we literally barely scratched the surface.
Right.
You're talking about not only he's got an incredible pedigree. Look who his family is. He comes from a great wrestling family, but he's he's in like 33 years in the business, 34 years
across every major territory and brand.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that Karen McDaniel, Karen said the same thing I said. You know, there's a picture. I don't know if you can see it behind me here. Right. There's a picture of Sam right there. He looks like he's about 12.
Yeah.
That photo right there. He looks like he's about 12.
Yeah.
He's like a little kid in that picture. And I asked him about that. And what did he tell us, Dan? It was
that's his dad's belt.
His father's belt. You know, I think it might be my dad's belt.
It's funny that clip we played, him and Steve Williams wrestling. He was in his mid-30s at that point, and he still probably would have been carded for cigarettes.
Well, you know what's funny? I got to tell you, there were 3 clips that I picked. It was the Stunning Steve and Sam Houston. The other one I picked was, and I almost regret kicking myself in the ass here, I almost regret not showing it, was Sam Houston and Nelson Royal versus the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette.
Wow.
And then the other one was Sam Houston versus Jerry Gray in the WWF. I'm sorry. He won the match, but it was just a atrocious match. It was horrible. I'm glad I didn't show that because it was, I don't know if it would have embarrassed him or not, but he probably would have enjoyed seeing the Nelson Royal match. I thought about that. And Nelson was no spring chicken in that. He's probably 58, 59 in that match.
Right.
You know? I mean, he's a guy who started his career back in the 50s. So he was no young kid.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the questions I was going to, or comments I was going to make to Sam was that he held 2 of the most prestigious territorial belts, the Mid-Atlantic and the Central States Championships, both before he was 24 years old. And if you look at who held those belts, it's a who's who of Hall of Fame wrestlers.
Oh, my God, sure.
And not to mention, he was winning those titles in an era when the territories didn't give it was unheard of to put your strap on a young guy at that point.
And a title meant something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what's lost now is that, you know, the titles now are regarded as props. They're marketing tools.
Yep.
They don't mean anything now.
And they're more interested in selling a replica belt than they are in having a champion.
And that's just, you don't know how that irks the shit out of me. It really does. It really, really does. It's like now it has.
They use the belts to build the stars instead of rewarding the stars for their great work with a belt.
Exactly.
And thank you, Jim. That's exactly right.
Oh, that's a
belt was your reward for your accomplishments.
Right.
Your draw.
Now don't forget,
now
guys.
The belt,
we can't call them belts anymore. They're
fuck that shit. I call them belts, okay?
And don't you dare call them a strap. They'll put you out the.
Is that one of the Vince? That's one of the Vince.
And I called them belts and straps. Okay.
Belt is a no word. Strap is a you're fired word.
Yeah, not on this show.
No, absolutely not.
Can't even say wrestler, right?
If you call it a title on this show, I'm going to hit you with a fucking belt.
Well, and don't forget the
big
other
heavy one.
Title shot. You can't say title shot. You have to say championship opportunity.
Bullshit. In my day, it was a title shot. Anyway, well, listen, you guys. It's been a great, great show.
Absolutely.
Jim Phillips, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, guys. I had a lot of fun.
Benny Scala from Ocala, you're welcome back, brother. We're going to do another one. And, of course, as always, the happy haberdasher, Dan the Man Sebastiano. I love it. Great hats, brother. Great hats. That's like more like Indiana Jones and Sam.
That is an Indy Jones hat, yes.
It could be a big boulder chasing you down a hill.
Exactly,
right? You need to wear a Judge Smails hat from Caddyshack.
Oh.
The hat that comes with a free bowl of soup.
Oh, yeah, it looks good on you, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Buy a hat, get a free. There you go. There's our Dan the Man. That's what he usually wears, Jim.
That's the Chevy Chase look.
You're right.
I like it.
That's Ty Webb, right?
Yeah.
Well, for Jim Phillips from GorillaPosition.com, for Benny Scala from Ocala, and for Dan the Man Sebastiano, I'm Psychic Medium Angelo. Happy wrestling, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.